Welcome back to the Strategic Stripping Podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Valeska Bloom. We have Claire on the line with us. Claire is a 28-year-old mother of 5. 5 is a lot of kids, especially for a 28-year-old. So I'm not exactly sure why I wanted to start off with that, other than maybe I feel like more moms should consider stripping because I feel like it can and does have a significant impact on your confidence levels by feeling sexy if maybe they've temporarily lost that feeling or maybe if they've never had that feeling, and by being able to make money for themselves should their partner not be able to work or just because they have a drive to contribute more financially. So first of all, Miss Claire, how long have you been dancing?
Just a little over a year, and it's a life changer. It's absolutely a life changer. Yeah, it opened up my schedule. I can make my own schedule. If the kid's sick, I don't have to worry about losing a job. It's absolutely the most versatile job you can get into, period, especially if you have children.
Right. What were the reasons why you decided to start dancing?
Well, it's never really settled well with me to make anywhere near minimum wage.
Right.
So I have spent many years bouncing between waitressing, bartending. I got into healthcare a little bit. Being a CNA, you don't make very much compared to the work that you put in.
What is that?
And certified nursing assistant.
Oh, okay.
I did that. Yeah, I did that for a couple of years, and it was like, it's very emotional, like a lot of emotional labor, you know. And
did you have to get into a lot of debt to get there too?
Not on that one. That one worked out for me pretty well. I was able to make payments on that class, and it was an affordable, really quick class. That one wasn't too bad, but it really didn't show me the reward that I needed. So when I decided to try this, I had recently separated with my husband, and during the heartbreak diet, I ended up losing like 120 pounds. I had a lot going on, and was really starting to get in tune with my body and started meditating and listening to podcasts and, you know, really working on who I am, finding who I am, because I've been a mom my entire life.
Yeah.
Like I became a mom at such a young age that it was definitely something that came calling really loudly. So becoming physically active was tough for me. I had to find something that I liked, and pole class had always interested me, so it didn't take very long.
Oh, okay.
It didn't take very long once I started that class to realize that, hey, wait, I'm kind of onto something here. And
wow.
The woman that I took class with, she was dancing at the time, so I was like, hey, show me the ropes. What's going on? What's up with this? Because this seems like something I can, really make work with my life.
So she mentioned to the class that she was a dancer?
I saw the class in Facebook. She's a woman that lives not very far from me.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I realized once we got to know each other that she was a dancer. So I was like, tell me about that. what's going on with that? I mean, before I auditioned, my very first day, I'd only been into a strip club one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a big shock, culture shock. I had to dig up confidence and self-worth and, all sorts of things all at once.
Right.
All at once, yeah. And it was the perfect setting. And the way it planned out for me, I'm not saying that it would be like that for everybody, but for me, definitely, I found it once I started going after this. So definitely a life changer.
Interesting. On a scale of 1 to 10, how scared were you when you went into audition?
My first trip in there, I chickened out.
Oh, okay.
and then, yeah, I really did. But like I said, coming from, it was such a jump. So I chickened out the first time, and then the second time, I walked in and got hired on the spot.
Awesome.
And started working immediately. And that club itself wasn't a good fit, and I felt my intuition through with that one. And tried a different club after only 2 shifts.
Oh,
that's
good
the one
for
I've
you.
been at for a year. Yeah, I kind of try other places sometimes, but it's that's home base for me right now until I really branch out. But yeah, so and then I got hired on the spot again. So that actually really helped with the the confidence that I could do the job, you know?
Right, absolutely.
So,
So when you say you got hired on the spot, you came in and they were like, you have a job, you don't have to audition, or you went up and they were like, yeah, you're good?
yeah, it was basically like, signed all my paperwork and they were like, you're hired, but, you know, formality, just stage, you know? So, yeah, that was pretty much all that.
So you didn't even do
really
stage? You didn't even get on stage to audition?
Yeah, but it was like, they had already told me I had the job. They were just like, you know, doing my audition stage, but I already had the job, so.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to get comfortable with what you're doing now?
That didn't take as long as I expected it to. It maybe like 4 or 5 shifts, I think.
Oh, that's awesome.
Before I was like, yeah, I was fully ready to like relax into it. But the selling side of it took the longest, for sure.
Okay.
How do you
how do you feel about your sales skills now?
Oh, like, I'm still working. I mean, everyone, I'm sure feels that way, that it's always a work in progress.
Right.
But, definitely stronger now.
Okay.
Like 150% stronger than when I first started. Yeah. At first it was like I was using like a roll of the dice. You know what I mean? Like I would just either click with somebody or not. And then now it's like I'm learning how to, you know, shape shift around the club and kind of feel it out. And, you know, really intuition comes into play so hard.
Yeah.
For dish up. Like that's like, I think that's my favorite part. Is like really, really like when you're really in your zone and, you know, you just adapt to everybody and you just stay busy, busy, busy. Next thing you know, it's closed. Like,
right.
That's my favorite.
I love what you said about shape shifting with people, because that's so important, to be adaptable when you start to peek into somebody's personality and you just, you know, easily switch yours a little bit, like to make them more comfortable or to turn them on more or, you know, whatever it happens to be at the time.
Definitely. I think the lesson right after that was really important that I learned was, as you're shape-shifting, if you feel the need to walk away, like, know when to say, like, no. You know what I mean? And, like, leave this deal. That was definitely one that I struggled with. So I was learning how to adapt, but then I wasn't learning when to let go.
Yeah.
So, you know, and sometimes it was only a brief let go. You know, you just let go for a little bit, and then you come back and try again, and there's like 2 sides to that one, for sure.
I think that is incredibly valuable, especially considering I believe that some customers just frankly aren't worth it. So even if you're not, even if, you know, you are kind of clicking with them, but they're a horrible human being and you're like, I don't want to spend another second with this person, I just sometimes don't feel like it's worth it, because it's people like that can make you have a bad night instead of walking away and going to find somebody else that could be awesome. So I think that's incredibly valuable. I mean, some guys are just nasty, like especially ones that smell bad. Like that is so hard to deal with.
I can take that to a point. Like I can handle it for a second, but if it's real bad, no, I'm just gonna I'm gonna move on.
It just sucks though, especially if it's something on their clothes, right? And then you go to dance for them and it gets on you now and
it transfers.
It's awful. So there's absolutely some things or some people that just are not worth it, at least in my experience, and it sounds like in yours too. So
always talk to everybody, but you'll know pretty quick, usually.
Yeah.
Whether you're going to stick around or not.
Right, I agree with that. And I'd say, you know, maybe most of the time, like, I feel like most of the time it's pretty worth it. But there are those cases that it's like, I mean, I had one guy that used to come in and see me when I worked in Clearwater a long time ago, and this guy would come in and see me a lot, and I couldn't stand him. And he was one of those people that, God, every time I looked at his face, I just remember thinking, I hope you never come back and that I never think about you ever again. And I still fucking think about this guy when I think about the worst customers I've ever had. And it's like, you know, and there wasn't anything in particularly bad about him either. He just, God, I don't know.
Like an off vibe.
Yeah, just the way he would look at me and his just, I don't know, it was just awful. And it was like,
I can like feel it.
Right?
Like you're saying it. And
right?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's just some experiences that just, money isn't, it's not worth being around some people. So,
right. If they haggle you, God,
exactly.
They don't respect your boundaries.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
What are some reasons
there's
why...
different plays on that, but...
What's that?
There's different plays on that. Like, you can, you can work with it to an extent, but if they're just going to haggle you, they're going to haggle you.
Right.
Cut your losses, move on.
Right.
Yeah,
it gets very annoying to have somebody do that. It's like,
Absolutely.
I'm selling you my body and you're trying to get a fucking deal? Like, really?
Right.
Like,
Exactly. My favorite line is, do you do your job for free?
Right.
I didn't think so.
Yeah. Or do you like to give discounts
Right.
I don't know.
Exactly. And then on the flip side, you get customers that are absolute angels.
Right.
That come in and pay for 3 hours and you just sit there and talk the whole time and drink and joke around and don't even dance or anything, like you just hang out. Those are like angels.
Right.
Absolutely love those.
Yeah. And that's a very good counter side to what we were just talking about, because some guys that come in are absolutely amazing. So it makes the ones that are horrible people super not worth it, because there could be another guy in the club right then while you're dealing with, Joe Blow that sucks at everything. There could be this other guy that, could change your life, like sitting across the room. So that also is another reason to move quickly. My God, if there's one thing I've really learned about stripping and hustling, it's don't waste your time. Like, if you're with somebody, I mean, you don't need more than 3 songs before you can ask somebody to come with you to dance. Like, going over that time frame, I think, is completely unnecessary. And if they say no, get up, excuse yourself, but you can always go back. If you go through everybody in the room and, I'm sure you'll get yeses along the way, but after you're done with everybody, start over, go back. I mean,
see, they're still around,
Exactly. Yeah. In sales, I mean, I've heard on multiple occasions, it takes people 7 different times on average to see a product or a dancer, maybe. I don't think it's maybe the same in strip clubs. I think it's probably a little bit less, but to actually, for them to buy. So if you keep coming around and they feel like, well, she already spent a few songs with me, and I'm sure they're not keeping track of the songs in their head, but, she's already spent some time with me. She came back again. Shit, maybe she actually likes me, because no other dancer probably has approached him 4 times in the night. It took me a long time before I decided to ever go back to anybody that said no to me. I was like, nah, fuck that. Like, I'm not going to. But, it's silly to do that, because they could say yes next time. So. Yeah,
I've said things like, you better steal me away while you can, starting to get busy in here, and then I'll leave, go get busy, come back through, and the same guy will be like, I was waiting for you, you ready to go? Like, let's go VIP. Like, I was like, I told you, okay, let's go.
Absolutely.
You never know. I mean,
right. I absolutely love that line, because you better steal me away before somebody else does, because it injects scarcity into your sale.
Yeah.
And scarcity apparently is massive when it comes to sales. If somebody sees, hey, we only have 3 of these left, people are like, oh, they might not even want it, but there's only 3 left, so they're gonna get it. So I think that's a incredibly good line.
Yeah, and I think on an emotional level, because, like, if you think about it from a broader perspective, like, the emotions that are brought up for a customer is primal. Everyone's got this, like, pheromone charged, game going on, and then if you add in a little competition like that, saying, well, I actually have, somewhere to go here in a minute, like, or whatever, then it also engages that, like, male masculine, like,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was one
hunter
line.
mentality.
Right. Absolutely. There was one line I was thinking about for telling people, I haven't used this yet, but something along the line of, one of my customers is coming in here pretty soon, and he usually keeps me tied up for a while, so I would really like to play with you before he gets here. So it makes it be like,
Right.
this is a now or never thing because he could show up any minute and I'm not going to see you again for the rest of the night. And it kind of makes, you know, the way you can say it can make it sound like I really do want to dance with you. And I feel like a lot of the guys that I say it along those lines in kind of like a way that's like, hey, I actually am attracted to you, like I actually like you, whether that's true or not, I feel like that really pushes them to be like, okay, yeah, actually I do want to come get a dance with you.
Definitely, because I mean they're obviously attracted to you. You know how to shit, right? Like that's why you do this job.
Well, there's
you just gotta get them to trust you. Yeah.
Right. But, you know, for girls that don't feel like they're attractive, first of all, there are tons of ways to become physically attractive if you don't feel like you're attractive.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, makeup does a ton. Exercise is so important for your body and for your health and well-being and everything. And just confidence alone literally will make you...
That's the hotness right there,
exactly. That alone will literally make you more physically even attractive to other people. So, and I've seen
you carry your whole body differently.
Exactly. Yeah. I've seen this all over the map. All over the map. Girls that, you know, just by looking at you wouldn't necessarily think were attractive, but they can sell. You know, they're confident and they can sell. So,
definitely.
So even if you
like
don't,
some of the highest earners.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, like when I first started anyway, I was like, I don't get it. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I do. Now I get it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So much more than that.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
man,
exactly.
I definitely know what you mean. That right there can also, this might sound a little bit fucked up, but that can also give you encouragement to see other girls that you're like, you know, I'm as pretty as her, I'm prettier than her even, like, you know, in your own head or whatever, like not trying to be judgmental, but just as like a way to be like, you know what, maybe I can do this job or I can do this job. So
or at the very least it gives you like something to think about, that there's more to it. Like that's really important in the beginning, I think, too. Because I did the same thing. I was comparing myself to everybody there and then going, what am I missing here? It's all important, like the failures, the rejection, the, you know, finding what outfits make you feel the most confident. You know, all of that is, everything adds up to like, it's like building a house, you know, it's like that's the foundation work. And then from there, it's like embellishments, and then you really figure out how to tune up your energy. And
so what do you think is the best part about being a dancer for yourself and just in general?
I think it's the most challenging and the most rewarding part for me is the direct correlation between your emotional state, like your mindset, your meditation practice, things like that. It like directly relates to your sales.
Absolutely.
So when you find that spot, then you're going to constantly be searching, you know, trying to get back to that spot and like finding out new ways. And I feel like that's healthy overall for your whole life. Like, I feel like since I started this job, and I'm not quick to be frustrated with my kids even, like it reflects into my daily life, like, and at least I'm mindful of it when I'm there. Like, I'm like, hey guys, I'm having anxiety today, you know? I'm going to be a little tuned down today. Like, but it gave me the biggest doorway to walk right into my emotional state and really, really start paying attention to it. So broader perspective, that's the most rewarding, because that's going to set me up for the rest of my life. And hopefully I can teach that to my kids, and they can also find their inner magnet, you know, their emotional state, their all of that. And then, like, more close to home, it's the scheduling, for sure. Because if there's a soccer game coming up, or if there's, you know, I don't have to work one night, so I can be up early, you know, I have fluidity and freedom within this job, to be able to be there for my kids in a way that you can't with a normal, typical 9 to 5.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. I feel like that's a huge part of the reason why most girls get into the job. Well, maybe not most. I think it's the money to start for most. And then they realize, like, I had no idea I'd be able to come and go from work whenever I wanted. I kind of had a feeling, but it was really just like, I want to be able to make a lot of money so I can take a lot of vacations and do whatever I want.
Yeah, that was definitely my driving factor. Like, you know, when I stopped getting any sort of support from my ex-husband, and you know, things were rocky and unstable and I didn't like it, I was like, that's it. More money is happening.
Right. When did you start looking into advice? Did you start asking other girls at work about what do you do or how can I do things better? Or did you start looking online first?
I was looking online before I started, really trying to gather as much information as possible so that I could assess the risk, I guess, and whether I really wanted to dip my toes into this or not. I started there and really liked everything that I was learning.
What all kind of resources have you found available online?
I started listening to your podcast first. First and foremost, strategic stripping. I tried a lot of them, but yours, that's the one I stuck with.
Awesome.
For sure. And from there, it was I started following people on Instagram. I actually got to meet Valerie Sterning in June. That was fantastic. That made me really happy. I went to Vegas and got to meet her.
Was she working or was she having something going on or what happened?
Yeah, there was a sex worker march and rally.
Oh, okay.
And I happened to be in Vegas at the same time with a birthday trip with a friend of mine. So, it was just serendipitous. It was perfect. I got to see this network of support that we don't have over here. And I'm I left so inspired to get to that point where I could bring that over here. And it just made it even more in-depth for me. The political side of this job actually, really interests me a lot.
You know what? So, it really interests me a lot, too. And I was actually just talking with somebody about this and was talking about how politics are so fucked up around this situation. We can go to jail for not wearing 2 sets of thongs in some cases, which is absolutely absurd that people would put these fucking outrageously crazy laws on us. Right. So thinking about it, I was talking about it with a guy and he said, well, you know who makes this stuff happen, who makes these laws happen. And I don't know that this is accurate or not, but he thinks it's women that make these happen because, and this is another actually huge reason why I wanted to talk to you, was because you are a mother of 5 and I thought you still were married, but that it can be moms and wives that don't want us in business because they're afraid. They don't want...
It definitely... If someone's not confident or secure... Right. That can definitely make someone uneasy, I'm sure. We're the complete opposite of that. You have to be confident and secure.
Right.
You know what I mean? To get anywhere at all with our job. So I can see where that can pull some insecurities, but it's 2019. We need to wake up. We need to get through this. We need to understand that sex work needs to be completely decriminalized.
Yeah.
If there's everything. One of the first things I learned when I got to the job was the class system. You got entertainers, you got strippers, you got prostitutes, and all of this hierarchy, and it's slut shaming within the industry. And I'm this is weird to me because I'm you know what I mean? How can you judge from one standpoint because you don't do certain things or whatever?
Absolutely.
It just reflects badly on everyone.
Yeah.
So, and it's not going to go away. Why it shouldn't have to go away. I feel it's a valid thing. People need that kind of companionship, and if someone is offering that type of service, then, leave it alone, leave them alone. So,
right.
But if it was decriminalized, there could be safe places for full-service sex workers to work that wouldn't necessarily be in the same building as dancers if they really want that sort of separation. That's the way you're going to have to do it.
Right.
We're going to have to go vote. We're going to have to go, make a change because that's the only, I hear it every night I work, I swear. I swear, every night I work, somebody complaining that they have suspicions of so-and-so doing whatever, and it's it doesn't matter to you. You're not in competition with that girl. You know? Just leave them alone.
I so agree with that, with a caveat, though, because I agree with everything you just said. And it is difficult, though, sometimes when, it's, to be honest, I don't feel like I feel any kind of competition. I had never have looked at other girls as my competition before. That being said, going down and working in Miami, everybody was, not everybody, but it felt like everybody would do anything in the back. And I'm listen, I am an entertainer. I will identify as a sex worker as well, because apparently that has sex workers are just basically selling either sexual fantasies or sexual service. So absolutely. But I don't know. I kind of feel like they're different services, because one of them is a fantasy and one of them is a real deal.
It is a different service. That's absolutely, like, I agree with that. It is different. It's like levels, you know?
Right.
Like, first level is...
Exactly,
Yeah.
right, exactly, like levels. Sex work should be 100% decriminalized, and I think it's criminal that it's criminalized. I think it's absolutely absurd. I think the only thing that criminalizing sex work does is push sex trafficking forward. Because
absolutely.
Right, there are so many girls. There are so many girls
that would go to anybody.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and if guys literally could just pick up the phone and call a friend and be like, "Hey, I'll give you $500 or $1,000 to sleep with me," I guarantee if some of my friends did that, I'd be like, "Okay," But but it's not like that.
I feel like
but
it's
it
a whole
should
grid
be.
that needs to happen.
It's a whole what?
So if it's like a whole grid
that
needs to happen. Like there needs to be, it needs to be like fully structured and built, like not like government, but like within, So we need support groups. We need, because sometimes I feel like not all the time, not nearly all the time, but sometimes I feel like women feel like they have to. And
absolutely, I agree with that.
If we have a support group, it's like if there are support groups going around, then we can really see, like, is that really where your boundaries are? Like, where are your boundaries? Like, let's find your boundaries. Okay, if that's past your boundaries, then let's teach you how to sell so you don't have to go past that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Or if your boundaries further past that, then let's talk marketing. Like, what are your safety strategies? What is your, I really feel like there's a huge need for that no one knows about unless you get into the job.
Right, yeah, for sure.
No one's talking about it. Like that, and then having the safety measures for full-service sex workers. That way, there will be a difference between a club where full service is happening and where it's not.
Right.
Even if it's not a club, like whatever variation that turns out to be, but it needs to be like a full grid work system,
right? Rather
than just one thing here or one thing. It's not a cute like one thing t-shirt at all, but I definitely feel like there's work there.
Right.
For sure.
I definitely when you say levels, there are clubs that are just bikini bars and guys still go to them, right? There are clubs that are topless and guys go to them. There are clubs that are full nude and guys go to them, and there are brothels and guys still go to them. Like, I feel like, I don't like the word brothel because I feel like it has like a negative connotation to it, but that could be the next level, like just a full service club,
Exactly.
Why not? I don't think it would put any of us out of business, because I think there are some guys that really do just want the fantasy. Maybe guys that are actually in a relationship even that are like, I just need someone to talk to. I know guys that go to strip clubs just so that they can talk about their bullshit in their life, and that's what they're there for.
I'm sure you've had a customer where they ask you to take a touch, they still get a little uncomfortable if you let them put their hands on your hips or whatever. Those are the guys that are going to still come to the club.
Right, exactly.
Not doing full service.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then the guys that are as soon as you walk up, how much, those guys are going to have a place that's better suited for their needs. That's just how I feel about it. I really feel like it's not that, there's no war. We don't need to be at war with each other. We need to get together and, get this figured out, have compassion for one another, and understand that we're all people. We all have different boundaries, every single one of us,
For sure.
So, that took a little while to, really get a hold of exactly how I felt about it all, but meeting, Valerie Sunning, going and meeting all of everything in Vegas, and, seeing all of the support systems there at that rally, and it was life-changing. Oh, my gosh.
What was it called?
I encourage anyone to go to Vegas and see that. What was it called?
Yeah.
It was the Las Vegas Sex Workers Collective, I think, is what organized it, and Valerie kind of jumped in. It was I think they're doing one yearly, but I'm not sure if that's a quotable thing.
So
just
it's
to be involved in that side of things, though.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, at least just to get some knowledge about it, especially if you're feeling some type of way. I know so many girls that their main focus at work is who's doing what, and it's if you're really that worried about it, learn about it.
Right.
If it's messing up your hustle that bad, understand it, and then know where to go or what to say to make it clear that that's not something you do, but you can still provide your service.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Right.
Well, there's something I absolutely want to oh God, I hate politics, but that's one of the only things that I really want to do something about, because I truly believe that sex trafficking would significantly be impacted. Like, all these people that are trying to shut down sex rings and stuff, like, good luck. Like, you might shut down one today, but another's going to pop open tomorrow. Children are getting stolen every day for this. The sex trade industry is bigger than drugs and firearms combined. Like, that's absolutely terrifying. And God, there are so many girls that would be willing to have sex for money. There's tons of them that would be willing to have sex for money, but because it's so illegal and taboo, they don't do it, and that could change their whole life, especially if you morally just don't care, right? Like, when I was 18, I believed in God, and I thought that he was going to judge me, and I wasn't supposed to have sex before I got married, and all this other bullshit that was just fed to me that I just believed because I was a kid and didn't think for myself. And then I started thinking, and I was like, wait a minute, like, none of this makes any sense at all, like any logical sense at all. So I had zero moral issue with meeting a guy, thinking he was attractive, wanting to have sex, having sex with him, and never talking to him ever again. Like, it does not matter. Like, as long as you don't get a disease or get pregnant, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So
I definitely went through a little stint like that too, where it was like, I'm gonna do what the fuck I want. Like, I don't even care. I'm just And that's exactly what I was like. I'm gonna play like a boy for a minute, and then it turned out to be like that type of attitude is exactly my strength.
Yeah.
For this job, because like, it was learning that, like, I can think on my own. Like, I don't need somebody to tell me where my boundaries are, or, like, how I feel confident, or what I can do to express myself. No one knows you.
Right.
But you got to allow you to come through. It's like, it's a whole process. Like, you really got to...
And I love that you said that. You've got to allow you to come through. And I feel like this job is, in particular, one of those things that will help girls really bring their true personality out and quit caring what other people think so much. Because, I mean...
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, you get to a point, at least I feel like most girls that I've worked with, probably all of them, just get to a point that they just don't care anymore. Like, rejection is not a big deal at work because it's a numbers game anyway. And chances are, if you went back to that same person over and over again, he'd say yes to you anyway. But then it filters outside of work too. You don't care what people think as much because you realize, at least I realize, like, how stuck in a box they are. And in particular, it probably has something to do with, their tied down schedule and their constant repetitive life that just isn't going anywhere. That keeps them unfulfilled. And and no time to think.
And the societal demands of being a mother is like, you gotta do everything perfect.
Right.
And it's like 8 different ways of perfect.
Right. Depending on who you ask.
All these demands. That's what I mean by I think it made me a better mom. Like, I'm sure of it that it made me a better mom because I don't even care. I'm gonna go with my intuition. I'm gonna feel this out.
Right.
And in turn, my kids are using their intuition. Yeah, I definitely feel like for girls or women that have that path, or that sort of inclination, I guess, for the more sultry side of life, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say, like, that. This is a great job for that. Like, to find yourself, where, like, one of my daughters, she's very into books, and, she likes to draw, and she likes anime, and she's very focused on that. I don't see this being something that she would want to do, because I feel like herself is going to shine more through whichever route she chooses, but she definitely doesn't seem to have any sort of inclination for this side of things. So yeah, there's definitely different platforms for people to find themselves.
Right.
But this is one that I was always ashamed of that I wanted to express myself the way I've always wanted to.
Right.
I was like ashamed of it, like, you're not supposed to behave that way. You're not supposed to think these thoughts. And then going into this world, they're like, yeah, welcome home.
Right, exactly.
Like that. Yeah. So it was definitely the beginning to accepting who I am, and I learned a lot about myself so much every day. I take every shift like that. Like, even if I didn't hit the monetary goal, where was the lesson? Like, I'm always taking something home. Even if it's a slow night, I'm taking something home.
I feel like that's so ridiculously important for so many people to hear, especially girls that have been doing this for a while and it's just become kind of a robotic routine. I feel like that's a bad place to be in that you can easily get out of. And I think one of the easiest ways to get out of it is to start asking customers questions you actually give a damn about. Like, instead of asking the exact same thing over and over again, like if they own a business or if they are older or anybody, it doesn't really matter. Just asking them, what's a life lesson that you would give me? We've been talking for 5 minutes or whatever. Like, what's something you've learned over your life that you feel like is really important? You'll get so many different answers from that are actually interesting, other than, oh, well, where did you grow up? Like, I don't really care where you grew up. It's like, it's so...
Right, you can learn so much. Like, take advantage of it. It's like a living library.
Exactly.
I mean, tell me about your business. How did you start? Tell me something you're passionate about. And when you have a pure, real interest in what they're saying, it's over. You know what I mean? Like, you're in that champagne room until you can't be anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really key.
I think
being genuine and authentic is really important.
And part of being genuine and authentic is actually caring about what they're talking about. Yeah. So that is another reason for girls to just ask questions that they actually care about. Because if you're asking somebody, questions that just every other girl has already asked them and you really don't care what the answer is either, if they have any level of intelligence at all, they're probably going to realize you're not even listening to the answer and you're just smiling and nodding until you can ask them to come dance with you. But if you're actually engaged in your conversation with them and you really are actually enjoying it, I think that's the easiest way to get in the champagne room, because now they actually really want to spend time with you and they believe that you're worth it because you like them, because you're actually showing interest in them. Yeah, well, I think one of the main things that I've gotten from this conversation so far is that, first of all, community is super important. I think we all need to do a better job about making that happen.
Oh, man.
I am personally not exactly sure how to do that. I mean, we've got the Facebook group and and YouTube and everything, but like those rallies that you talked about, like I think that is really, really, really important. But I still feel like there's a deeper level, because, rallies, whose attention do they get? I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe just other people that are actually interested in the topic. But it's really politics that is what we need to go after, I think. I think that's the most important thing, because they're the ones that make the rules. And there are a lot of us. I mean, there are a lot of sex workers out there. And if we all consistently went to Congress, and honestly, girl, especially stories like yours, because you are a mom, you don't have, and you don't just have one kid, you have lots of kids. So you have lots of responsibilities. Like, you've really lived life and can give very valid points why it's absurd that this is criminal to any degree or to any extent at all, especially considering you quit getting support from your ex. Like, that's a big deal. So
I mean, how else do you support 5 kids?
I mean, girl, I don't know how some people.
Our job is not going to cut it.
Right.
When you need a space that's at least $1,000 to $1,500 a month just to tack them all in, like, you've really got to figure it out, and sometimes you've got to do the hard stuff. And I think facing fear, that's the game changer. I think that's the ticket. That's the emotional game changer, is when you finally break through on the other side of that fear, that self-doubt. This job, we get to do that every night. Every single night. We have to do that. Yeah. And it's like, so we are just like, more power and more power and more power. That's how I feel. And I'm like, well, okay, so we need to do something with this. Like,
absolutely.
We know how to talk to people. We know how to persuade people. I mean, like, we've got elections coming up. We need to be paying attention to, who's in favor of decriminalizing. I mean, that's really important. Like, we really need to put our vote and our money, we need to pay attention to what we're investing in, what we're doing with our money, even down to, like, clothing companies, things like that. Because, like, I feel like there's a certain privilege level in the shallow end of the sex worker pool here, you know, where we're like barely dipping our toes. I feel like we have that 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of privilege where we can be a voice louder than someone who is like worried about facing prosecution for what they're doing.
Interesting.
So
wow.
That's important that we do that.
That's a really, really good point. Yeah, actually, I remember seeing a TED Talk. Do you know what TED Talks are?
Yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know, they're awesome. They're like super smart people that give 20-minute presentations all around the world. But I saw a TED Talk by a girl that is a sex worker. And I don't know what country she's from. I think she's here. And I was exactly thinking that. I was like, how is she putting her face in front of tons, you know, potentially unlimited amounts of people being on the internet? How is she putting her face out there talking about being a sex worker? Like, you know, it was like, holy shit.
You know, there's a little bit of, there's a privilege. Like, there's like a little bit of it's a subtle, you know, especially if you don't pay attention kind of thing, but it's there. Like, we need to definitely do something about that, because there's, I mean, that was a point that was brought up back in June, I think it was June 2nd at the rally, like, or not at the rally, but online, are saying, like, a lot of women saying, don't go to the rally if you're not privileged, because, like, you know, if you get caught or whatever, and I'm like, that's really, like, that was the first time I thought about that. I'm like, wow, you know, yeah, like, I can march, and I can, you know what I mean, because I have that privilege, and, like, that's exactly why we should.
They said don't go if you actually are a full-service sex worker. Holy cow.
I saw some saying that. It was just kind of like, that's more for, I don't know, it's just one of those things, like, there's a pain there, I'm sure. And not, you know what I mean? Like a scared, like a fear. And, but that's the whole point. That's the whole point. That's why we need to vote. Like, that's why whoever can be loud should be loud. And, yeah, that's I mean, I don't know, that's just been my perspective.
No, it's a very valid perspective.
Like, I just want to get into it and change it. Like, like, as soon as I stepped in, I was like, man, we can shine so much more light through here. You know? Like, we can build this up for people. This is an industry that's another side of it, too, that I could go on forever about. But, you know, there's not very many women that own clubs in the world. And that is, like, a disgusting figure to me.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And it drives me nuts when we all have the power to, like not all, but I'm saying, like, there's a ton of us that we could change that. Too. We can vote. We can look into the business side. We can, like, instead of, like, going in to pay for, I mean, not that anything's wrong with going into the job to, like, pay for college or even, you know, pay for new boobs or, like, whatever you want to do, but, like, what if you left something? You know, what if you left an imprint while you were there? Like, what if you did something to help the next girl, the next generation of dancers? Like, how can we improve it while we're there? Like, what can we do to add and to give at the same time that we're making our money?
I've got goosebumps all over. That's exactly, that right there is exactly the reason why I started Strategic Stripping. That was the only thought I had in my head. For 3 years, I could not stop thinking about all the girls that didn't have the same knowledge that I did. I knew I was really good at my job because I studied a lot of psychology and sales and all kinds of stuff that made me really good at what I did, and a lot of trial and error and practice and all that stuff. And I was like, and then I just left. You know, I just quit. Like, I did. I quit 3 years ago. I've gotten back into it since, but I never thought I was going to go back ever again. And for 3 years, I could not stop thinking about it. And finally, I was like, all right, I'm starting a fucking YouTube channel, even though I did not want to. I super did not want to.
There's something about this industry that just sunk its hooks right into my, like, soul. You know? I just, like, I can't shake it either. I got that same feeling. Like, there's work here.
Absolutely.
So, and
I feel like the biggest...
And that work, like, not as much like dismantling as it is, like, just kind of putting all the pieces together. They're all there. We just gotta put it together. We gotta vote. We gotta, you know. And some of these people should not be owning clubs.
Hell no,
a lot of them, you know. I mean, lawsuits on lawsuits, and, you know, I love what they're doing out west. Like, you know, people are, you know, I haven't looked much into unionizing, so I guess I'm not gonna give, like, a huge opinion on that, but I like the idea. I like the idea of there being structure, but that particularly I haven't, like, I'm not going to give, like, a steady opinion about, but I like what they're doing.
To be honest,
sure.
I don't really know what all has happened there at all, other than girls starting to become employees, which has sounded like a nightmare. I mean,
Right.
I wouldn't want
Right.
to do that at all. I would quit.
Yeah,
There's no way. I wouldn't be an employee for anybody in a
Right.
strip club. I mean, that's part of the
Yeah.
reason why I got into the job. I didn't want to work for anybody. Like, I wanted to do my own thing. So,
Exactly.
but how do,
That's
so,
what I meant by, like, I'm not really sure about it, because I feel like some people that would make them feel a lot more comfortable. But
Yeah, maybe,
not
but-
for, like, an entrepreneur type, you know.
yeah,
Like
and
an entrepreneur, that's not settling at all.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And, maybe that could be a different level too. I mean, we've talked about all kinds of different
Right.
types of clubs.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be a type of club, but to, take over all of
Absolutely.
California and turn all the girls there into employees, like, fuck. I mean,
Right.
I know girls that are moving away from California because they're like, I don't want to be an employee. Like, that's not, that's not what I
Right.
signed up for. So,
Right, exactly.
but there
I mean,
are certain
definitely.
places that are doing it in a decent way from what I've seen. I worked at a club down in Destin, Florida, that you had to fill out a W-2 or whatever form that is, and you were legally, technically an employee, and you clocked in and you clocked out, but you could still come in whenever you wanted. You had to stay until the end of the night, but that was already a rule of theirs anyway. And then I think they pay you like $5 an hour, and you could go. You didn't have to set a schedule, so that basically
Right. That's nice. Yeah.
right. That basically seems fine because it's not really
Yeah, that
taking
seems
anything
reasonable
away
and
from
reasonable.
you. They weren't charging you, like, from what I've heard about some of the clubs in California. The whole $20 dance goes to the club, and you keep the tips
Wow.
from that. Yeah.
Oh, hell no.
Right. So
No way.
exactly.
No.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
No way.
I don't even that doesn't sit well with me at
That
all.
doesn't make any sense. That's like exploitation.
Exactly,
Like, it's
yeah.
Like hiding behind, and then exploit. That's what I feel like. I mean, it makes me sick sometimes. Like, paying house fees and dance
Right.
fees. And
Yeah,
I'm
me
just
too.
like, man.
Yeah, it bothers
Like,
me
for what?
too.
Because I walked in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, come on. Like, there are some nights where, I live in a very, like, rural area. So there are some nights where no one walks in.
Right.
And we still owe house. And that is ridiculous.
Right. Absolutely.
Ridiculous. Like, that drives me crazy. That drives me nuts. And I understand, they're like, well, you should be bringing people in and
Oh, that's bullshit.
things like that.
That
But
doesn't
yeah, I'm
even-
like, okay, I get that to a point, but at the same time, if you don't advertise your club, like,
Right.
yeah,
How is this? Yeah, and you're going to make money from us regardless. So what do you care?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you don't care because everybody's got to pay their house. Yeah, it drives me crazy.
It bothers
Absolutely
me a lot
crazy.
too. Yeah. Starting a
Yeah.
strip club is definitely something I really want to do too. And it would be a radically different club. There would be so
Yeah.
many things different about it than what the norm is now. It would be, oh my God.
I know, yeah, I've got like whole business plans of it. Like,
Well,
I
we
think I'm
need
gonna
to
do something
we need to talk
with all
about
this,
that
right?
later
Like,
because I think that that's a really,
We should.
really, really important thing for someone to do, and I would love to be a part of it because, God, I just know I would
Yeah.
run an excellent strip club. I mean, it's
Yeah.
something I've been doing for, it feels like my entire life at this point, so it's like just tons and tons of insights on it and everything. So.
right. Like who better to run one?
Right, then someone
You
that's
know?
done it.
I mean,
Yeah. That's part of the reason why I
Yeah.
like Mons Venus and Tampa so much is because all the managers are women. So they
Right.
that have been dancers. So they understand when you
Right.
come up to them and you say, "Hey, I got to go." Like, somebody just came on
Right.
me or whatever, like I got to go. And they're just like, "Okay." All right, I hope your night gets better. And, if you go up and say that to a male manager, they're typically like, they'll look at their watch and be like, oh, well, you have 3 more hours left. And it's like, you know what? Fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
have no
Oh my
idea
God.
what I'm going through. Like, you could never
Exactly.
understand. And it just is so irritating. But at the same time,
Yeah.
it's our fault for not creating strip clubs. So I agree
Right,
with you.
you
Like,
need to, yeah.
something needs to happen about
Like,
this. This and
Like a
politics.
stripper revolution.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
This and politics, and I really, really like the idea of somehow getting more moms into this industry, because I feel like it can radically improve their lives, married or not.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Because if their partner isn't able to pay anymore or whatever, it doesn't matter. Even just for their own, I have my own money. There's just something incredibly empowering about having your own money. I know a lot of girls will put up with a lot of shit from from guys, like boyfriends or whatever, because they are taking care of them. And it's like, so...
I know. I always, I mention it to people, and I'm like, so let me tell you about, the dark side. let me introduce you to this life, because I feel like you might just want to look into it. Just think about it, no pressure. It's not your thing, I totally get it, but... but yeah, more moms definitely need to understand that, fuck the stigma. Just forget the stigma. Who cares about the stigma? The stigma doesn't feed your kids. The stigma doesn't put the roof over your head.
Right.
It doesn't put gas in your car. It doesn't supply your kids with any sort of... And if you play it right and you teach your kids right, they're not going to be impacted by the stigma as much. And maybe that's a privileged thing too. I guess I should probably back that one up, because maybe that's not always the case. But if we were to vote, if we were to start changing things, that stigma would change.
Yeah.
It would take it might take a while, but it's got to start somewhere. We got to start making waves.
We do. We got to figure this out. I don't even know the first step, to be honest.
I don't either.
I have a friend that's a lawyer. I'm going to text him and be like, hey, I need some help. Tell me what to do. I have a feeling he'll be open to sharing at least what the step in the right direction is, because I don't have a clue. Other than going to writing letters to people in Congress, and I wouldn't know who to write letters to. So, there's got to be a starting point, though. There has to be.
There definitely has to be. There has to be somewhere. We'll have to, dig in.
Yeah.
Put our heads together.
And anybody that's listening to this, if you have any ideas about how to do this, please say something about it, because I think that this should be a serious focus for all of us, because honestly, if sex work was decriminalized, we would all start making a lot more money. You'd be able to take customers out of the club whenever you wanted. And that's another thing right there. Talking about different tiers of clubs, different types of sex work. Even that, if you were talking to somebody at work and you weren't at a full service club, but you meet a guy that you're like, yeah, shit, I'd have sex with him. He's cool and he, whatever. Be like, well, I'll meet you when I get off work, or I'll leave work right now and, and come meet you somewhere else. I just don't like the idea of it happening in the club. I don't know why. I feel like it just is it's a different level. It's a different kind of, it's just different, because there are girls that are only okay with selling fantasy. So let that be a position. And then if someone else wants to take it out of the club, go for it. I guess, I don't know. We got to figure this shit out, though. We really do need to figure some stuff out.
I've definitely met dancers that don't even like to be touched whatsoever.
Absolutely.
Sit on your hands the whole lap dance type. There's levels. So if we can acknowledge that, accept that about ourselves, accept that about all of us, and then work with that.
Right.
It's main thing. Let's get it going,
Right.
Because it's just going to keep being an unstable thing until we stabilize it.
Right.
And that comes, first thing is decriminalization. You got to get moving on that. That has got to be a thing that is at least talked about.
Absolutely. Yeah. Not just talked about, though. We've got to make it happen.
Voted on.
It's got to be voted on. It's got to be voted on, and I feel like letters really help. If we found, I think on, I don't remember which web page it is, but on some government website, you can look up all the senators in your state. And they all have email addresses and phone numbers. And if all of a sudden they started to get a flood of emails or phone calls from different girls that lived in that state, and we're like, hey, sex work should be decriminalized. These are the reasons why I think it's criminal that it's criminalized. These are the reasons why it should be decriminalized. And if you don't do something about it, I'm not going to vote for you, and I'm going to talk bad about you.
Yeah.
And
watch out for that legalization versus decriminalization.
Yes,
little
right.
tweak, because like
it's a big tweak. It's a complete,
is not what you want that's worth.
Right. It's it's a completely different ball game. It's a totally different sport.
Oh yeah.
So
definitely we got to be looking at decriminalization, not legalization.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I mean that's what's happening with marijuana is it's being legalized, but it's not necessarily being decriminalized. So you can't still do what you want, which is completely unfair because it's one of the most, if not the most healing plant in the world. So it's criminal that it's just only legalized. It's not fair. It's not right. It just should all be decriminalized because it doesn't even make any sense why. So
absolutely. Yeah. I those two things are my main, like those, like, just let people do what they're going to do. I feel like it's not harming, you know? Like,
absolutely.
Come on. It's,
Okay, well, I've got a couple more questions for you. Are you saving or investing any of your money so far?
I have been really, really, really focusing on my sales lately. So, like, I'm getting to the point, I'm out of debt.
Oh, good. Good job.
And we're about to move to a whole new place in a whole new town, much, much, much better, home. So I'm investing, but into my family at the moment, and then I've got my eye on stuff that I want to do once that stabilizes, and it's like the next phase.
When you say you have your...
I had to get home base right.
Right. Okay, good. Well, shit, you've only been doing it for a year, so it sounds like you're making some serious progress. So when you say you have your eye on something, you mean for investing in or creating a business?
I have some ideas. All of the above,
okay,
really.
Good.
I've got eyes on a bunch of, my main goal is, in like a 3-year plan, I want to have at least three streams of income. That's
very good.
And I'm giving myself 3 years to get the foundation right before I really, because I don't want to bite off more than I can chew and then be back to square one and have to rebuild again. So I want to make sure that, I'm really, really getting my bearings in a launch, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Get going.
Okay, very cool. Is there anything else that you would like to share about how dancing has made you feel, or about how it's improved your life, or how it can help other girls, or anything else?
I definitely feel like I want to express permission. Any woman listening, if they're curious, just go in and see what it's like. Get a feel for a club as a customer. Just kind of get your feelers going, your intuition going, your spidey senses, and if you find one that you feel comfortable in, just don't be afraid to audition. Don't be afraid to get into it, because if you feel some sort of inclination, if you have the idea in your head that you might be able to do it, then you can do it.
Yep, I agree.
Period.
100%.
Yeah. If you have any sort of inkling, that is your clue. And that little inkling is going to grow into a much louder voice that's going to run you around the club, and you're going to make so much money, and as long as you keep yourself centered. And because I shouldn't sugarcoat it. There are aspects of the job that are a little tricky and a little.
Yeah, it can be a hard job, but the reward is way higher than the the bad aspects of it, for sure.
Yeah, if you go in with the intention of improving your life, your family, whatever your reason is, you go in with that and you keep that focus. That's important. A lot of people, when I first started, emphasize, make sure you have a goal and an out date, and, I agree to it to an extent, because, you need to know why you're doing the job.
Right.
What is your goal? But at the same time, leave that open.
Yeah.
You never know what doors are going to open.
True. So true.
I'm not saying be committed till you're 45 years old or something, but, I'm saying, just be open to just exploring it. Don't give it a cap. Don't give it any limitations. Just, see what happens. Take that chance. Take that leap if you feel inclined.
I completely agree with that. That's a very good point. I mean, I definitely didn't think that it was going to be the right thing for me, but it was you know what, I'm going to try it anyway and see what happens. And I made $75 in 15 minutes on my first shift. And I was that's what I'm going to make at my job tonight in an 8-hour shift. And it was I think I'm never going to go work at a restaurant ever again.
I know. It's kind of I can't even think about a civilian job.
Oh, my God, right?
I would be so unhappy, but that's important because if that's how you feel, that you know there's so much more that you can do in this industry. You can run a club, you can be house mom, you can do so many different things within the industry. So, like, don't necessarily give it a cap because you could definitely, but go in with a good intention every time. And instead of an intention, I've noticed for me, instead of having the intention to make money, and sometimes even giving myself like an actual figure that I need to make, well, fuck me up.
Oh, interesting.
Sometimes I just need to go in with like I'm here, I want to have the most fun as possible, and that oftentimes leads to the bag. Like that'll lead you like a little breadcrumb trail to the bag. So.
Right, because the more fun you're having, the more people are going to want to be with you, and the longer they're going to want to be with you, so the more they'll give you because they want to stay with you. So, yeah, that completely makes sense.
Scarcity, yeah.
Can I?
That scarcity thing. If you feel scarcity,
yeah. Can I ask what the best night that you've had has been?
Oh, the best night was recently, and that was 1,200, almost 1,200, and that was a night that I came in late, that was dead, and it was just one guy.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's awesome.
So it's like a legend, when you're a baby stripper, it's like the legend of the whale.
Right, exactly.
Like, what is this whale at?
Exactly.
Like, $30 dances, like, I want to find one of those, And then I was literally sitting at the bar. There was nothing going on. There was a girl on every lap of the 4 laps that were there.
Yeah.
So I'm just hanging out, talking to the bartender, and then comes up, and next thing you know, 2.5 hours later in Champagne. I mean, it was great. Like, it was easy. It was fun. I was respected. I was asked the question, like, what do you do in Champagne? That's such an important, you have to have a good answer to that.
Yeah.
And my answer is always, I make no promises. We'll have a great time. That's all I know.
There you go.
Yeah, I learned that one from another podcaster, actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that I did a coaching session with. So, and that was like, the key. And it was so exciting to use it like 3 days later. I was like,
convenient timing.
Yeah, definitely. I was like, dang, it's like it rang a bell as soon as you asked the question. I'm like, ding. And I I have that answer. But yeah, it was definitely really fun. Like I have big goals, but like for my area, that's really not bad.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Being new and that's really not bad. So, and like I said, I think it was a Monday.
Yeah.
A Monday night. Pretty sure it was a Monday or Sunday. So it was really just kind of, I don't expect that from... Right. There's one person that will make your whole night.
Absolutely.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah, and it really doesn't matter if it's slow. I mean, so my first night ever was in South Carolina, but then I was only in South Carolina and I worked at a club for 2 days and then moved to Florida. And my first night working at a club in Florida, I decided to cocktail serve instead when I got there. So I started cocktailing and got, I had worked for maybe like 4, 5, 6 months or something. And then my roommate robbed me. She took all my savings, which was like $5,000. I was 18. And I needed to make $1,300 for rent in 2 weeks, and I had nothing. So I decided to start stripping at the club I was cocktailing at, and my first night was a Tuesday, and I made $700. And I was like, holy shit,
Right.
What?
Exactly.
Right. So, and that was a Tuesday.
You never know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So it being slow is no reason to get upset or anything because literally you need one person, and oftentimes they do come in at the end of the night. So, it's not like...
I think it was 2:30.
Yeah, wow.
It was 4. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, and he paid for 2.5 hours even though we didn't have that much.
Aww, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so great.
That's really cool.
Definitely. There's definitely little hidden treasures. And if you look for the treasures, you'll find them more.
Right.
If you focus on talking about it's everything, talking about it, thinking about it, if you think about the ones that are disrespectful, the ones that haggle you, if you're always talking about those types, you are going to keep attracting it.
I 100% agree.
If you daydream and revel in the memories of the good ones, that's what you'll attract. That's what I've learned for sure.
I completely agree with that. That's awesome. Well, you figured that out faster than I did, so I'm very happy that you figured it out faster than I did. Within a year of working. There wasn't YouTube channels or podcasts or anything when I started that talked about this kind of stuff. So after my first year working in a strip club, I hated people. I was like, I do not like people anymore. Like I just, and that made me keep attracting more people I didn't like. And then I saw The Secret, which, you know, just opened my eyes to, holy cow, I really need to focus on what I want. And that shifted my whole life. So
yeah, that reminded me that I watched it because you said that.
That's awesome.
I've been living it since. It's so awesome. It's so much fun.
Right. It's absolutely life-changing for sure. I mean, I've listened to it over and over and over and over and over again, and I've attracted some really ridiculous stuff because of it. So, like, I'm sure it's because of it, because it's just the constant, like, thinking about it. So, you know what, that actually makes me think that I need to put sex work being decriminalized in the forefront of my mind. I feel like I've got so much stuff on my plate to do, and it's like how to prioritize this stuff, because all of these things that I'm thinking about are so important, and it's like, which do you work on first? So this is kind of something I feel like we should find a girl that is super passionate about it, that can put her, you know, maybe not full-time focus on it, but some serious attention and focus on it, and start to create a community around that in particular. Not just girls that are like agree and they're like, yeah, that seems like a good idea, but girls that are like, yeah, I want to write a letter. Yes, I'll call my senator. Yes, I'll show up to that rally. Yes, I'll do that. Like, just
that inspired action.
Do something about it. Right. I mean, even, you know, what you said, like, just talking about it is good because it plants seeds in people's heads that makes sense. I mean, because honestly, it took me a little while to, I mean, I'm like a anarchist libertarian, so I think we should be able to do anything that isn't hurting other people, right? So I've never felt like government should have any say whatsoever in if we do drugs or if we're having sex with people for money or anything else that they really shouldn't have their hands in, which is way too much stuff. But I didn't really start thinking about how fucked up it is that sex work is criminalized until I started to learn more about it. And then I was like, oh my God, this is just wrong that it's criminalized. Like, it's hurting a lot of people.
How many politicians do you think are participating?
Exactly.
You know, like, come on.
Yes.
Come on.
Exactly. that also really bothers me to think about. I'm like,
oh, it makes me so bad.
God.
Until we change it, we've got the power to do it. We just gotta pull together and do it.
Right.
I think that's what else can we do, right? You know, we'll talk about it, and then whoever hears the message and it resonates with them, like, let's do this shit. Let's get it going.
All right, well, I'm going to either create another group or find another group for us to get in, the girls that are actually willing to, like, do stuff to make this happen, because this is incredibly important. I mean, it's probably the most important thing that could happen for our industry. I don't think there's anything more important that could come close to that. I mean, that would stop raids. That would stop, like, maybe even
everything,
maybe even the stigma around strip clubs, at least to a degree, to start.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, because I mean, like, weed's becoming legal, but I feel like it's still so ingrained in people to think it's wrong because of all the bullshit propaganda that's been out there about all this stuff. So I think it would still take a lot of time.
That margin is shrinking, though.
Right, absolutely. Especially because, I mean, I went to a cannabis store in California and I was asking them about, I don't remember what I was asking them about, but he told me that a lot of their customers are elderly because they're sick and they need help, and they're like, and this is the only thing that's helping them. And that was a real light bulb moment for me. I was like, wow, that's excellent.
Yeah, you definitely hear about baby boomers. There's definitely elderly that are consuming, and I feel like that's like, these changes are like domino effect. Like, I feel like, you know, the more changes, the more, I don't know, progressive, and the more we can go forward.
Right, I agree with that. And I believe there's always one big domino to start the whole thing happening. And for our entire industry, it's definitely the political side of it. And now we got to figure out how to push forward in that in the most meaningful way. Because I totally can see, and I haven't been to it, so I can't, I haven't been there, and I'm sure it would be absolutely amazing and give you a lot of insights and stuff like that, but I just don't think a rally is I don't think it's the most impactful or the most productive. Exactly. I don't think it's the most productive way to go about it. I think it's straight up going to the people that have the power to write a law, or change laws. I think it's them that we really need to start focusing on. But don't get me wrong, I'm going to go to that rally next year. I'm going to look that up, and I want to go. Yeah, for sure. And I think everybody should go. I think that's a fantastic, because it gives you ideas, and you can start to collaborate with people and see where, this could head.
The ACLU was there, the ACLU, so I got a bunch of information on that and how to get involved there.
Interesting.
There's tons of things you can learn from these, and I hope to see, especially in Las Vegas, I feel like that's like the mecca.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it should be there where it really, really, really begins. And so I hope to see next year. I'll be at that rally next year for sure.
Absolutely.
And it was great last year. Like, I can't imagine next year. The momentum and, definitely the more that people talk about it. And it was cool. Like, everybody wore red. So it was, why are all these people wearing red? What is going on?
Right.
And the science. And you're like, I didn't even know that was an issue,
Right.
I mean, like, that kind of, that's where I feel like that's the awareness side.
Yeah.
And then, you definitely got to be in with your politicians and, like, really, really bugging them. And I don't know how to really go about it. Whoever does, let me know.
Right.
I want to jump in. Like,
me too.
Yeah. Right. Like, tag me in. I'm ready. but yeah, that's definitely something that's been on my mind heavy. So.
Well, good. We'll keep it on your mind heavy and focus on whatever the solution can be, because that's how we find the answers, is trying to figure out the solutions. That's really where we get the answers, not focusing on the bad. Oh, why is this happening to us, or, whatever. But like, okay, well, how do we change it? How do we fix this? How do we make it, how do we decriminalize it? That's the question. How do we decriminalize it? That is exactly the question we all need to be asking and really looking into the answers. And I really think it's politics. It's calling politicians and writing emails and letters and straight up telling them, I'm not going to re-vote for you if you don't do something about this. Because that's the only thing that'll scare them, is not getting reelected, so, and writing the people that are running and being like, I'm not going to vote for you. And I'm going to tell every single girl I work with at every club I work with not to vote for you. So
that's such an important thing. Like, like, we're all like taxpayers, we're all voters,
right?
Like, we are all in here. We matter, like, for sure.
Yeah, and even the ones of us that aren't voters yet can start to vote, or can even just be like, because I don't even, honestly, I've never signed up to vote because I just have always felt like the game is rigged and it's all bullshit. But that was all for, the voting for presidents. I never even cared about who was running the states because I just don't like rules and laws. So I don't like any of it. I don't want to think about it. But it's not productive not to do that. So, getting involved in it.
It is definitely time.
Yeah, is the only way. I mean, as far as I know, it's got to be the only way, because regardless of whether we care about their laws or not, they can still send us to jail for stuff that's fucking insane. Yeah. So
ridiculous. Yeah, absolutely. And then we can have charges. We have to go fight, but that's going to cost us money. I mean, like, let's just be done with this witch hunt,
Right, exactly, yeah. Have an unnecessary criminal record for not doing anything of any importance whatsoever.
That's the thing, too. Even if it was something full service going on, that's two consenting adults. Like, that should not be illegal.
Exactly.
Like, that should not be illegal.
Exactly.
So, yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, we're going to figure this out, Miss Claire. This is going on the list of things that absolutely has to be figured out, so, because it's incredibly important. So, well, it was lovely to talk to you for editing and people's ADD-ness of listening to interviews and stuff. I'll say we'll go ahead and cut it off now. But it was a pleasure to talk to you. I had no idea where this conversation, I didn't know it was going to go in the direction that it went to. And I really, really, really enjoyed that. And I really feel like it's the most important thing that could happen for our entire industry. So And I love to see the mom side of it from you. I think that that's going to help a lot of women that have been thinking about it but are like, well, but I'm a mom, so I shouldn't do it because it's bad or whatever they might think. And that's just not accurate. It can truly change the course of their entire lives and improve everything for themselves and for their children. So, and give you more time with your children. So I think that's extremely important. So it was a pleasure to talk to you, and I am going to look you up soon, and let's talk about this politics and club idea, because these are really, really important topics.
Yes, definitely. This is such a great conversation. I'm so glad we did this.
I am too. Have
good to talk to you.
You as well. Have a wonderful evening. I'll talk to you soon. Well, ladies, I'm happy to announce that since this episode, myself, Claire, and my lawyer friend that I talked about have created a Facebook group for strippers and lawyers. It's facebook.com/groups/let-us-work-now. Again, it's facebook.com/groups/let-us-work-now. If you have any real desire to help, to actually help, to write letters, to call Congress, to do whatever it takes, even if it's just a small portion of it, we could use as much help as we could possibly get with moving this forward to decriminalize sex work. Please come join us. Facebook.com/groups/let-us-work-now. Please come join us. I hope that you enjoyed this conversation with Claire as much as I did. I believe this is the most important topic we've had here on the show so far, because this one's the game changer. This is the big domino that can help make us all a lot more money. This is the big domino. Please come join us to be a part of the stripper revolution. Thanks for listening. I love you so very much. I hope to see you in the new group. Ciao.